POC Network here with another unboxing, this time coming from a new company we've just been acquired with, or gotten to be acquired with, and this is Nextbase. Nextbase and some of their new Dashcams they have just recently brought to the market. This specifically is the 212, and this is the 512GW. Each one has its own specs and strengths. This one mostly is the 212 is mostly designed for those looking not to spend too much money, but they still want a decent quality picture. You're going to have 1080p with this one at 30 frames per second. It has parking protection, all that good stuff you normally find in a dash cam, and is available right now. This one over here is one of their newer, or one of their higher up models. I believe this is the second to the top. The 512GW actually does Quad HD, which isn't quite 4K, it's closer to 2K, and does that at 30 frames per second, but it can also do 1080 at 60 frames per second, giving you better detail, especially when you have fast-moving objects going by, which, I don't know, could be like cars, traffic, things like that. But what we're gonna do today, we're gonna open these up, we're gonna see what's inside the box, see what they come with, and then you're gonna hopefully go to POCnetwork.net later on, where we're gonna have a whole story about both of these for you to be able to read later and see what we have to say about it. So to start off, we're going to start with the 212. Now when you open the 212, you're immediately presented with a couple cards here. One is just kind of a thank you for purchasing, go check out our website, download the manual to get started, and then has it in multiple different languages. You have the quick start guide that kind of walks you through quickly on how to use it. And then of course you have another piece of information here that just tells you to check their website out for any kind of updates to the firmware that you can apply to the camera before you start using it to make sure that you're getting the most optimal performance out of it. And as you can see, the way it's kind of situated into the box, you have a QR code here so you can scan it immediately. And Get Started 212 is the link, which is pretty much identical to what you're seeing in this little document right here that just tells it's pretty much taking you to the manual of the device itself and most likely the firmware and hopefully an app as well. Pulling out the camera itself, it looks to be about as small as your typical camera that we've seen lately, especially this year. It's small and compact. It has a decent sized screen, LCD display on the back of the unit here, so you can conveniently see it while driving. The size of it, like I said, it is small. It's quite thin. It's pretty nice. It's also light in weight. And it features a cool little magnetic kind of mount where it kind of just pops into place and you slide onto the mount once it's in your window. This actually hooks to it, to the base, so you can easily remove it and pop it back in without actually removing the suction cup or unscrewing anything and so forth. In addition to the other documents, you have a sticker here, which is just, you can't really see it. You have to kind of peel it out like this. You can see it has white print on a clear vinyl, so you can stick it to your window in your car, pretty much ward off thieves and say, warning, this car is protected by Nextbase. It's kind of big, so you may put it on your window. You probably won't. I mean, it's more like a parking warning sticker. You're about to be towed, but it's there in case you want to use it. Inside this box that comes inside the bigger box, you have accessories. You have a cigarette lighter adapter. This is so you can plug it into your 12-volt connector or input in your car. And then this plugs into, I believe, the mount, which charges this through the mount and or keeps it charged, powered it up, and so forth. For charging it before you use it, they have a USB to mini USB cable so that you can connect it to a wall outlet if you have one laying around from another device or your computer. This is the mount, and which goes in your window. It's actually a lot smaller than what I had expected. This is actually my first time looking inside this box. This is a tiny little suction cup, which is pretty cool. And just as I had mentioned, there is a mini USB port right there. So when it's inside your window, the actual mount is what's getting the juice from your 12-volt adapter. The camera itself has that little piece that I was showing you that pops out. And then this, it just slides into it like that. And while it's on your window, now it's getting juice from the base. And when you're done, all you have to do is just pull it off, walk away. That actually doesn't take much effort at all. And you can plug it in inside your house or with a laptop somewhere and download all the videos. And of course, you can also remove the SD card. There's a micro SD card on the side right here. It did not take much effort at all to take it off. However, it was sturdy enough so that you could pretty much slam on your brakes and this isn't going to go anywhere. Additionally, on the camera, you have the mini USB port here, and that is for when you bring it inside and plug it into a computer and use their software, which allows you to play, edit, and share your videos online. You also have an AV out. We have a reset button right here on the right side of the camera. On the left side, and then this is from looking at it from behind, you have that micro SD slot, and you have a mic, so that you can pick up audio from inside the car as well. So you can hear yourself screaming and cursing at the driver that just cut you off or slammed into you. That, which I'm sure, like any of these dash cams, can be disabled. So again, this is the 212 by Nextbase. This is one of their entry-level cameras, so it's not going to have the best resolution, but it still gives you 1080p at 30 frames per second, which is still going to look fantastic. So that being said, let's look at one of their better ones. It isn't their flagship, but it's, I believe, the second model down, the 512GW. So this is the 512GW. This is the second from their top in terms of from their flagship model. And this offers Quad HD, and as I mentioned, that isn't 4K, that's more like 2K, but it's still a great resolution. It gets it to you at 30 frames per second, and if you need more than that, you can still downgrade the resolution to 1080, which you can get 60 frames per second for getting more clarity with fast-moving objects like traffic. So we're gonna open up this one and see what this one comes with. Now this actually has built-in GPS location logging, which is kind of an extra step up from the other one that we just went over, and it can actually track your progress on the road in terms of how fast you're going, what your location was, and so forth, so you can review that later on, which we'll get to. You have these same cards that kind of tell you to go check out the website, download the manual, look for updated firmware. You have the walkthrough with the manual here. The camera it's slightly bigger than the other one. It's not huge or anything like that. The difference is pretty minimal. It's about 15 to 20% larger than the 212 in size, but still maintains a nice thin profile. It's very light, uses the same mounting system, the little thing that pops off here in the top, so you can just smack it into place. You have a more of a durable design to this one, and unlike the other one where everything's exposed, the actual, like the mini USB port for downloading everything to your PC with, that one actually has a flap on it instead of everything was exposed. You also have a RCam port right here, which is also looks quite similar to mini USB, but it's not. You also have on the side an HDMI out, which is also protected by a flap. You have your micro SD card, you have your mic, your little hole that reveals the mic inside, and that's it. Again, you got some touch-sensitive buttons on the back, a pretty decent screen. You have, again, mini USB to USB cable. You have an alternative to using the suction cup on this one. This one actually comes with a modular piece you can swap out, take the mic or the suction cup off and replace it with this. This actually has two-sided 3M tape or sticker tape on there. It's a sticking one. So you just stick it to a surface in case the suction cup's no longer working, or if you just want a more permanent design to your window, you have that option. It also comes with an extra pad. There we go, double-sided sticky pad. And then of course you have the same suction cup design as the previous one that we went over, the 212. Again, it's small in design, it's pretty cool. You just kind of stick it to your windshield and click that up and it's on your windshield. And this piece right here pops out, slides right into place just like the other one, and this not only holds it in place, but keeps it powered and charged. And just like the other one, you have a 12-volt lighter adapter that keeps it powered with, which this is what plugs into that base. The other cable is, for when you take it out and you connect it to a PC. And that's it. This is the 512GW. So you have the Quad HD format version of it at 30 frames per second or 1080 at 60 frames per second. And then you have the previous one, the 212, which is 1080p at 30 frames per second. So budget, not so budget. This one's going to be a little bit more pricier, but its performance is going to beat the daylights out of this one. This one is still going to give you fantastic HD video, not as well as this, but at a way better price point. So again, 212 and the 512GW, both of them from Nextbase. So go check it out at POCnetwork.net. We'll have more on this. We're going to test these out and see what we like about them, what we don't like about them, and so forth. And of course, as always, if you like what you've seen here, don't forget to subscribe below. There is a button down there where you can follow us because we have many more videos to come, as usual. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to stay on top of all the latest and greatest, and or at least the gadgets we cover, remember to subscribe right here. Subscription button. Click it. You're going to want to. There's lots of videos, interviews, previews, all sorts of stuff. Button. Click it.